Bonjour. So I just went to see 3 amazing exhibitions about fashion and historical garments. And I have to show you because it's all that I love and I'm just so inspired. If you're new here, I'm Ariel. I just make a ton of random things. Mostly sewing, fashion, crafting, home decor. Just creating whimsy, fantasy stuff that I can add to my life. As you can see, I am a minimalist. And I'm obviously under the supervision of the wellness officer. I live in the country now, but I've lived 15 years in Paris. It's not super far, and now when I get to go to see my family and friends, I try to see what cool things are happening there. What's going on in the big city? And we are going straight up to the Louvre.
Are you happy to be in Paris?
Oui! Because that was just the best fashion exhibit I've ever seen at Le Louvre, of all places. It's called Le Louvre Couture. And yes, it is a fashion exhibit in the middle of probably one of the most iconic museums in the world. I wasn't totally sure going in there, but wow, incroyable. What? You don't know what is the Louvre? I'm not a historian, but I'll try to give you a little bit of historical context here. Before it became one of the most iconic museums in the world, it was a fortress, un château fort, built around 1190. And it was meant to defend Paris along the Seine from the invaders. In the 14th century, King Charles V ditched the medieval battlements and turned the fortress into a proper royal residence. If you're going to rule over the peasantry, you just have to be surrounded in marble. By 1622, under the rule of Louis XIII, it had evolved into a stunning blend of Renaissance architecture, half palace, half fortress. Kings just added their touch here and there. It becomes more and more opulent. Louis XIV is like, that's not enough, I'm gonna build another one in Versailles. So he had one built, even bigger, more gold, more everything. And then, 1789... Yes, la révolution! And suddenly the rich noble's head starts rolling with Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette. Don't worry, I'm not gonna go through all the hundreds of years of history of this, but it is to say that it was a palace that was turned into a museum. The revolution is a big part of history, as you may have seen at the Olympics last summer. So the Louvre Palace was reborn as the Musée Central des Arts de la République. Then Napoleon made it even grander to put all the loot from his military campaigns. Then I'll just jump to 1989, where they built the big glass pyramid, designed by Chinese-American architect Liu Mingpei. I hope I say it right. It was part of the modernization to make the Grand Louvre, because part of the palace was still occupied by some of the French administration, but they wanted to make the whole thing a museum, and there wasn't enough entrances for all the public expected. So they built the entrance underground under the Napoleon Square with the pyramid on top of that. Huge controversy at the time. A futuristical glass pyramid in the middle of the classic French architecture. Sacrilège! Anyways, now it's a nice symbol and it's pretty cool to get into that. The pyramid is pretty iconic now. But let me tell you about the exhibit. The place was full of visitors, but not completely packed. The collection is in the Richelieu wing, which holds the decorative objects and furniture, so it's not the most visited part of the Louvre. And I got to visit with my bestie Alaïa, that I'm always thrilled to see. Est-ce que c'est pas parce qu'on prend l'exposition à l'envers? Non, mais ça irait bien chez moi. Je vais pour les poussières, je pense quand même. Ouais, pour le nettoyage... After debating if we would decide to live here and what would be the logistics of changing the candles and dusting all the furniture, we finally got to the fashion pieces. Just having an exhibit of outfits in such a place, it just felt like we were just walking through the pages of a fashion magazine. Being in the grandiose sets, every piece had a reason to be there. They were sometimes inspired by the historical period or elements that you can find in those rooms, fitting each design amongst those historical treasures. Flexing. You kind of had to search through all the objects to find something from the couture exhibit, which felt a bit like a treasure hunt. And in this incredible setting, that was quite fun. Guess what this is? This is to put salt. Une petite trempette sur la tête, c'est pas mal. Most of those outfits were just the most incredible pieces by those designers. The inspiration, how they connect with the history. Like this gorgeous dress by Iris van Herpen, a Gothic cathedral masterpiece. I think this is my favorite.
Et bah ok, écoute, hein. Chacun son truc. Hop, démonétisation.
And in this treasure hunt, the game is also to find the pooping dog, which is hidden somewhere amongst those medieval tapestries. I really love the juxtaposition of different time periods, linking pieces together in a very fun way. It feels playful and new.
Je l'ai trouvé, regarde. Voilà, c'est de l'art.
I think it's just a very clever way to make the public interested in all those historical artifacts. As someone who have been several times to the Louvre, most of the collections I've never seen. So blending worlds like that, it makes your brain tickle. I don't know, I was just having so much fun and getting so inspired by all of those things. It makes you question the choices of the designers, how to visually tell a story with all different kinds of materials, colors or textures, how references are utilized in every design. You want to appreciate all the details, all the thought that went into that. The work of all the little hands that work on those. Because couture houses have dozens of workers, experts in patterning, constructions, but also embroidery or all the different techniques that are used on those. As someone who experiments with different types of craft, I think a lot about the craftsmanship of all the unknown hands who work on these designs. On the modern pieces, but also the old ones. The craftsmanship and the time needed to make pieces all over the history, and how it can inspire a modern designer, but also you and me. Oh la la, look at this treasure room. Absolutely gorgeous. It was also interesting to see the use of very different materials. The choice to put metallic dresses in the armor room. I mean the Mugler accessories and the corsets in between all those 15th century armors. Ah, wow!
Ça, je connais, c'est Dolce & Gabbana, collection 1567. Bah, c'est les porte-clés. Tu mets la clé du garage. Bien celui-là, très mignon. Ça c'est pour jouer à Donjons & Dragons.
Some pieces were a direct reference to fashion history. I mean, look at those paniers. But some were actually a direct reference to a specific object that was right there, like this gorgeous dresser that I now want for my bedroom. I'm really glad that we also get to see accessories, even here the paper draft of a dress.
C'est ma préférée. Bateau, voiture, ouais. C'est ma préférée. Tu vois, à l'époque, ça c'était le mec plus viril qui soit, tu vois. Mais ouais, le talon je troussais, le truc qui te... C'est ma préférée.
I'm giving this exhibit a 5 stars review. If you go to Paris this summer, just check it out, it's amazing. But do you think we are done? No. Let's grab something for lunch because we have a lot more to do today. So I had to fight pretty hard not to touch anything. I'm pretty happy I didn't, because I would probably have been put in the dungeons of the palace. But my inspiration batteries are just full. I have like 50 ideas of new projects that I want to make. But this was just so good. I think it was the best fashion exhibit I've ever seen. They did an amazing job with that. But the day is not over, because now we go to the Petit Palais. Le Petit Palais is across from Le Grand Palais. Tu veux participer? Bah oui, je sais. So Le Petit Palais was built for the Exposition Universelle of 1900, the World's Fair. This is a Beaux-Arts masterpiece designed by Charles Giraud to showcase the glory of French art and culture. The Universal Expo was a huge success with so many inventions showcased, groundbreaking new things like the biggest telescope, the first diesel engine, the electricity palace, basically just a giant steampunk show. Which brings me to a very cool sponsor for this video. You know I love to tinker with random objects and recycle little parts and turn them into stuff that is whimsy and unexpected. Well, this is StoryGears by Mecrob, a hand-assembled 3D giant puzzle made from upcycled metal, designed to turn your most meaningful memories into something glowing and living and pretty awesome. Mecrob is a creative brand that sees art in what others overlook. Since 2012, they've been turning forgotten materials into a lot of very original works of art, blending sustainability, imagination, and just tinkering with a lot of tiny pieces. Every piece they make tells a story, and StoryGears is one of the most magical. This is a model that you can assemble, full of lots of tiny little pieces and metal gears and bolts, and one little duck. They genuinely asked me if they should keep the duck. Personally, I like it, but feel free to give them your opinion in the comments. It's not just a model, it's a mechanical time capsule, and it has a little projector, a real one here that displays your personal photo film. They put the pictures I sent them of my partner Anna. What a perfect way to display this nice picture of us in our fancy costumes. That looks pretty cool, and it is going in my living room. This is the deluxe edition I have here. They're launching it through Kickstarter. Early backers get $140 off. Plus, once they reach 2,000 backers, everybody gets a little custom photo film as a gift. If you are a tinker like me or just are looking for a very cool gift, something sturdy and made to last with a little memories of you inside, you can visit the link in the description to pre-order your own StoryGear. So in front of Le Grand Palais, we have Le Petit Palais. Which is not, in fact, very petit. To see the exhibition about Charles Frederick Worth. This guy, who kind of, in a way, invented haute couture. Worth designs are probably the most iconic of the Victorian period. If you are only slightly interested in historical costuming, you need to check out Worth. He even had a lot of love for costumes, like for actual costume parties. I could totally relate to the person drawing those fancy costumes, even if it was 200 years ago. Between 1840 and 1920, the historical fashion went through a lot of changes, and it's super interesting to see all the changing fashion trends 100 years through just this one fashion house.
Mood, vibe. Pour le matin, tu veux pas enlever ton truc, tu mets ton pyjama en dessous.
The Worth House was dressing the most fashionable, the most elite people of their times. So on top of all the surviving dresses we also have the actual paintings of the people wearing them. Look at the beading and the details on this one. The tailoring was impeccable, also the use of different materials, especially velvet, which you know I have a love-hate relationship with. But all different kinds of laces and silks, and the most intricate embroidery, plus heavy use of rhinestones and sequins. I want to make this one in 5 different colors. And also this one, which have been on my Pinterest board for 10 years and now I see it in real life. We are taking pictures of every detail.
C'est ta préférée? Non, ma préférée c'est...
I'm sorry if some of my footage is a bit blurry. Due to the fragile nature of all those historical dresses, the light at the exhibit was very, very low. So my camera and I were struggling a little bit. Don't you want a portrait of yourself turned into a jacquard fabric? Worth was not just about designing the dresses, he was also a lot about designing the textiles, experimenting with textures and colors. The attention to detail, the amount of decor, of embroidery, beading. This is giving me even more ideas. I just have to make a cutout of those very nice oak leaves somewhere. It's very interesting to see the actual workers of this house, the women whose little hands created all those masterpieces, the design process as well. The amount of dresses that I recognize who actually came from the same house was so impressive, especially through all those years. This is all I love: historical costumes, intricate craftsmanship, and costuming. This was an amazing exhibit. The only downside is that I do not recommend that you go there right after the Louvre, because the scenography kind of suffers the comparison. But still, an exhibit about fashion in a museum of art is still a great way to get inspired. Anyways, I had the best day thanks to Alaïa again. And the last day I spent with someone who might be familiar to some of you. If not, go check out her channel immediately. That is Charlie from the channel The Stitchery. And we spent a very nice day in Paris. The last exhibit was Thierry Mugler and Alaïa. A much shorter exhibit, but seeing all those pieces so close, they were so nice and so well done. If, like me, you think you are good at patterning, no, you're not. That was a very humbling moment. Those pieces were incredible. The perfect details, the perfect fitting, the use of materials. Yes, I did look under all of those skirts. A super nice treat was also to have a glimpse at the atelier of Alaïa. Seeing where things are done is very cool. I just want to look into all those boxes and go through all the markups. And this is all giving me even more ideas. Do I need to make that coat? Of course I do. So I am back now to my quiet countryside. A lot less tourists. I was feeling down a little bit before that, but this trip just filled up my creative batteries and I just can't wait to start creating new stuff. I hope you enjoyed this little escapade in Paris with me, exploring fashion and art and culture. And I will see you in the next video. Tu dis au revoir. Au revoir. Au revoir. Oh, bravo!